First of all, great job identifying that you're stubborn and that you're emotionally triggered. That's key. A lot of people can't.
Hey, it's Walter here, and you're at the Think Profit podcast, where we're going to help you develop a rock-solid trading confidence and avoid the potentially endless cycle of system switching. Right, Hugh?
That's right. We're going to help you develop a wealth mindset, develop a trading strategy that fits your core personality, and help you overcome the obstacles that stop over 90% of traders.
All right, Hugh, sounds good. You ready to go?
Yeah, let's do this.
Hey, Hugh, we have a question from a trader here. The question is, we asked the trader, what's your biggest challenge? And it's a he. Yeah, he says, my biggest challenge is that I'm quite stubborn and I am emotionally triggered. So being stubborn and emotionally triggered. One of the things I think about, I first think about when I hear this is I find that women traders have an advantage in that they typically, as a group, and I know I'm generalizing, but as a group, they typically are better at letting go of poor trades.
Yeah, I agree.
Whereas men tend to, their ego gets wrapped up in it.
Yeah.
And so that's a stubborn thing. And in fact, I think there was a quote about George Soros saying it takes courage to be a pig, or you have to know when to be a pig, or something like that. In other words, taking these massive positions that are obviously outside the norm. And that's a very male sort of characteristic of being like, it's definitely going to work,
Mm-hmm.
So obviously, one way to look at this is to say, well, trading is just probabilities. In the end, there is a probability that your next trade is a winner, and there's a probability that it's a loser. And there may even be a probability that it's a break-even result. But that's what we're dealing with, probabilities. And now, whether you believe the probabilities have changed based on previous trades, that does depend on your strategy, because there could be some interrelationships between, like, for example, in some trend trading strategies, you may be more likely to have a winner after you've just had a winner, right? And that sort of thing. Whereas if you've kind of had win, loss, you may, or loss, you may not be likely to have another winner for a while until the market starts trending again, giving you really good signals. So that could be the case. But I think what's interesting about this is that the emotionally triggered part too. So this trader is recognizing that he is being stubborn, which I believe I had when I was starting trading, because I would move my stop loss. So I had a trade. I put my stop loss in, I take the trade, then the trade goes against me, and I move my stop loss further away because I don't want to be stopped out. Why is that? Because I was emotionally tied to that trade and I was being stubborn. I could have just decided to let the market hit my stop loss. That's what I do today. In fact, I can't remember the last time that I moved my stop loss. I just let it ride. But this trader is saying, he's getting emotionally triggered. That could also lead to things like doubling up on your next trade to make your money back, sort of this almost like a mini martingale trade, right? Or possibly straying from your rules because you're getting really emotional, right? Which, like I said, that's what I would do with my, moving the stop further. So I'd have like a buy trade on the USD CAD. And I remember like I was getting on an airplane, and before I got on the airplane, I moved the stop loss and I landed, and I was like, this was before there was internet on the airlines. And then they're like, oh, wow, it moved even more. So then at the airport, I would move my stop even further, it's like, and you end up taking like, 4 trades worth of loss, instead of the original 1 trade loss. So by being stubborn. So what are your thoughts on this trader trying to get away from stubbornness and being emotionally triggered?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Well, first of all, great job identifying that you're stubborn and that you're emotionally triggered. That's key. A lot of people can't figure that out, or they're not willing to accept that. So that's great. That's a great start. On the surface, more surface level stuff, like I think you can, through realization, or just like you're saying, looking at your numbers and rationalization, and just like not rationalization, but just like through objectively looking at your trading and your numbers, you can say, okay, I shouldn't be stubborn because these numbers, this is what happens. I have like a 20% drawdown or whatever, right? And that's a good place to start. But then if you look at it that way and you're still being stubborn and emotionally triggered, then you have to figure out, where is that emotion coming from? And this is what I've been doing, researching on my own for maybe, a good 15 years, and even more so in the past 5 years. And all of the things that you don't like about yourself, or you have issues with, come from some sort of source. And that's going to be, it could be something in your childhood, something in your adulthood, whatever it is. But the reason you're doing these things is because it's protecting you from something. It's protecting you from an emotion that you didn't want to feel in the past. It's protecting you from some sort of some sort of getting hurt, right? It doesn't want you to get hurt, so it wants you to be safe. So it's going to protect you by doing this thing. So a good exercise that I found is that you sit down. You can do this with a therapist. You can do it with yourself by just sitting down and meditating, and just feel into that feeling. Like if it's being stubborn, like feel being stubborn, like feel it with your full body and see what comes through. It might not be an event. It might just be a simple fix, or it could be something like in your childhood or something like that. And just see what comes out. Keep asking yourself, why am I being stubborn? Why am I being stubborn? And don't judge yourself for it. Just let whatever comes come, and just see what comes up, and then face it. Just say, okay, that happened, but I choose to move on. And I think that goes for the emotionally triggered part too. Like if there's an emotion that's triggering you, or first face it. And then I think when you face it, a lot of times things will come up, and you'll be able to figure out either where that came from or how to resolve it. But a lot of times these emotions are triggering us because we are stuffing stuff down, and it's not, you're not able to release it. So I would also look at that. There's plenty of things you could do for that, like hypnosis, go see a therapist, meditation, plant medicine, whatever you want to do. But, just kind of look at it in that sense, and don't beat yourself up because you're stubborn or you're getting triggered or whatever it is.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Some people may be interested in the trading tribe because it's basically the idea that it's basically what they do. So this idea of like where you're saying like lean into the emotion and feel the emotion. So at the trading tribe, you can find that. You can go to Ed. We can put the link in the show notes. You can go to Ed Sequoia's site. So Ed Sequoia was Market Wizards guy. He was one of the first interviews in there, right? And most people remember the Ed Sequoia interview because it's so unique. Anyway, he's written a few books, one on the trading tribe. I used to go to the trading tribe in my city. Don't go anymore, but it was really interesting because the whole idea is that we have these emotions, but we're not allowed in normal Western life to experience them. So you set up you kind of like subconsciously set up these things so that you have these really extraordinary events in your life. So you kind of set up the big argument, or you set up the big trading loss, right? So for traders, you're setting these things up. So what Trading Tribe is, it's a safe place to go to kind of experience these emotions. And you do exactly what you said. You kind of lean into it, and everyone's encouraging you. We don't really talk about trading at Trading Tribe. You just kind of feel it, right? So the best way to get information on this, it's not for everyone, because what we noticed at the Trading Tribe was people would come in, they read Ed Sequoia's interview in the Market Wizards, and then they like Googled him or whatever. They found his website, and they found these Trading Tribe things. And so they're like, yeah, I want to learn how to trend follow like Ed Sequoia. And then they go to the meeting, and they're like, whoa, I was not expecting that,
This is not about trading.
Yeah, it was like people, yeah, exactly. People bawling their eyes out and stuff, and like, whoa, and they never show up again. That's it. But yeah, so the Trading Tribe book, Ed's book's really good because it explains exactly what you were talking about, kind of in detail. His theory, anyway. It's kind of Freudian, I guess, but the idea is that you need to experience these. If you don't have a place where you can experience these emotions, you will create these emotions in your everyday life. Like they will come up eventually. So yeah, it's kind of exactly what you're saying. It's just a different approach to sort of purging those. And the idea is that if you experience these emotions at the tribe, then there's no longer any reason for you to set yourself up for failure or whatever with your trading, so that you have these terrible emotion out, things, all that kind of stuff. So it's not just related to trading, but it specifically is a group for traders. And many cities around the world have local tribes. You can look that up at the link, sequoia.com, and follow the links there and see where the nearest one is, or if you can start one. They're all free. It's not that, it's just set up for traders. So that might be something to look into too. If you find yourself in that, emotionally triggered state, which we all really are to some degree or another, whether we recognize it or not.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just what do you do about it?
Yeah. And the culture is such that it's surprising how many people repress their feelings, right? Like even just some basic everyday feelings is super repressed. So anywhere you can have a safe space to let that out is, fantastic. All right. Thanks, Walter.
Definitely. Thanks.
All information in this podcast is for educational and informational purposes only and is not trading or investment advice.